Good morning, everybody. This is Prakash, lecturer in chemistry, JPT Nirmal. Today we have discussed the fuels. So, fuel cells in the electromotive course chapter for the second semester students. So, fuel cells. These are voltaic cells which converts the chemical energy of the fuel into the electrical energy without combustion. For example of the fuel cells, hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, methanol oxygen fuel cell, etc. are the best examples for the fuel cells. So, fuel cells. The cells consist of the porous carbon electrodes as anode and cathode. Porous means nothing but the small holes, plates, carbon electrodes has anode and cathode. The small amount of finely powdered platinum is added to porous carbon electrode, which acts as a catalyst, and potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide 25% solution is placed between the electrodes, which acts as electrolyte. Here in these cells should be remembered that which is the electrodes, which is the anodes, which is the cathodes, and which is the electrolytic solution. So in the fuel cells, the electrodes are porous carbon plates and platinum act as electrolyte, and here anode and cathode also act as the porous carbon plates, and 25% of sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide solution act as electrolyte. The two electrodes are connected through voltmeter. Two electrodes will be connected with the voltmeter. Why? Because how much power will be generated, that is the measured by that voltmeter. The working of that fuel cell, hydrogen is bubbled through a anode compartment, whereas oxygen is bubbled through the cathode compartment. Here two compartments, we have to make the two compartments porous plates with the carbon. In this cell, hydrogen is oxidized at anode and oxygen is reduced at cathode. So at anode, when hydrogen is oxidized, then it should be formation of H2O and release the 4 electrons. So this is the oxidation reaction which is exist at anode, and the at cathode oxygen will be reduced with H2O plus 4 electrons by 4 OH minus ions. So this is the cathodic reaction or reduction reaction exist at cathode. So this is the fuel cell, and this fuel cell is used in the cell works continuously till H2 and O2 are supplied at the electrodes. How much we have to supplying the hydrogen gas and oxygen gas to the electrodes, that much time it will be generates the power due to the oxidation and reduction reactions. It does not causes any pollution. It is a eco-friendly cell, and it is used in the space vehicles, submarines, and other military vehicles. The water produced is used as a fresh water by astronauts, and however we have to now say it, that is total that cell was in the shown in the figure. However, two compartments we have to make the two compartments with the porous carbon electrodes at the left side hydrogen and right side oxygen compartments are there. Here, whenever we have to take the hydrogen gas in the compartment, and this is act as a anode, and whenever we have to take the oxygen in the compartment, that carbon porous plate act as a cathode, and then we have to pour the KOH or NaOH taken into the middle of the in between the two porous plates act as the electrolytic solution, and then these two porous plates which are act as a anode and cathode, we have to take in circuited with the wire through the voltmeter. That voltmeter should be measure the energy which is produced in the circuit, and this is the fuel cell. Fuel cell. So fuel cells are the very important, and by the fuel cells we have the eco-friendly cells, and these are the voltaic cells which are converts the chemical energy of the fuels into the electrical energy without combustion, so it will free from the pollution. And for the fuel cells, the best examples are hydrogen oxygen fuel cell and methanol and oxygen fuel cell. So when we have to take the hydrogen oxygen fuel cells, the cell consists of porous carbon electrodes as a anode and carbon cathode. Small amount of finely powdered platinum is added to the porous carbon electrode which act as catalyst. Potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide 20% concentration solution is placed between the two electrodes which acts as electrolyte, and the two electrodes are connected through the voltmeter which is measure the total amount of energy which is generated in the circuit. So how is the working of hydrogen oxygen fuel cell? Hydrogen is bubbled through the anode compartment, whereas oxygen is bubbled through the cathode compartment. In this cell, hydrogen is oxidized at anode by losing of electrons, and oxygen is reduced by gaining of electrons at cathode compartment. So then automatically that electron should be moves from the anode to cathode, then electricity will be generated. So at anode, hydrogen gas is react with OH minus ions and formation of H2O plus 4 electrons. So this is the oxidation reaction exist at the taken place at the anode, and that electrons are moved towards the cathode, and at cathode oxygen will be takes that 4 electrons and H2O, then it will be formation of OH minus ions. So this is the reduction reaction which is takes place at cathode. cathode. Due to that, spontaneously oxidation and reduction reactions takes place in between the two electrodes. So that's why that power will be generated. That should be we have to measured with the voltmeter. So this is the voltaic cell. So in which cell like that nickel cadmium cell and lead storage cell is not act as a charging and discharging. Only discharging is there in the cell. That's why this cell is example for the voltaic cell or galvanic cell. And advantage of this cell, H2O2 fuel cell, the cell works continuously till H2O2 are supplied at the electrodes and does not causes any pollution. So it is a good cell, and by when this cell is used, it is free from the pollution, and it is used in the space vehicles, submarines, and other military vehicles. The water produced is used as a fresh water by astronauts. So whatever there, that cell should be you have shown in the figure. So this is the electromotive force or electrochemistry 2. This is the best one chapter, and how can we are utilizing this cells and batteries and voltaic cells, Leclanche cells. And in this cell, this is the write any two uses of the H2O2 cell. Write any fuel, two examples of the fuel cells. Can you give the answer? Here fuel cell is the hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, methanol oxygen fuel cell. Simply give the answer for the 1 mark questions. Otherwise, for the 1 mark questions, write any two uses of fuel cells. Use of fuel cells is nothing but it is used in the space vehicles, submarines, and other military vehicles, and water produced is used as a fresh water or by the astronauts, and it is used to, it is a does not causes the any pollution. It is a pollution free cell. These are the very important uses. So for the long essay questions, it will be asking as a explain the one of the fuel cell with a neat diagram. So then you have to explain the this is the total, what is the fuel cell, what are the examples of the fuel cell. You can explain the one example or H2O2 fuel cell. Directly explain the H2O2 fuel cell. By explaining the fuel cell, then you have to write first of all which is the act as a anode, which is act as a cathode, which is the act as a electrolyte, and what is the working principle of the that H2O2 fuel is nothing but reduction and oxidation takes place by the hydrogen gas and by the oxygen gas. Here electrodes whenever act as a cathode and anode, but same plates, but whenever it is act as a anode, whenever it is act as a cathode, when it is bubbled with the hydrogen gas, then that compartment or that porous plate is act as a anode. When it is bubbled with the oxygen gas, then that should be act as a cathode. And here KOHR is nothing but 25% concentration of base is act as electrolyte. This is the very important, remember that. And so thank you for everybody, and we will meet the tomorrow session.